So I was born in a Hindu family, but I have drawn from other faiths as I have chartered my own course on the spiritual path. So I have drawn from Christianity, the importance of forgiveness in Christianity. I have drawn on meditations from Buddhist faith, and drawn from Hinduism, respect for all faiths and non-violence. So I feel if somebody were to ask me what is your religion or what is your faith, I tell them I have included these teachings from other faiths. So I don't want to be deprived what other faiths have to offer. So as we know, I'm sure you're all very concerned about the state of environmental pollution, including air, water, earth, and probably beyond. There is so much junk flying in this space, and it's just out there, and some people know about it, some don't. It actually poses a lot of risk and hazard to the satellites. And it seems like nobody really cares. But of course there are some people who care, which is commendable. So whatever little I have read on your website, that's great. I'm really impressed. So apathy, it certainly doesn't apply to you. But there are a lot of people who it does apply to. So for Hindus, I'll touch on some features of Hindu religion which pertain to the environment and their love and respect for the environment. Chad had mentioned that I should say something about Hinduism, so it's a very big topic. So we will touch on the aspects of Hindu religion which pertain to the environment. And if you want me to, I'll be happy to come back and give you a more detailed presentation on Hindu religion itself. So this is the hymn from Atharva Veda. Atharva Veda is one of the 4 Vedas. Vedas are the most ancient Hindu scriptures, and I'll say something more about them later on. And in this one, they have praised or shown their respect or importance of earth, and they call earth as my mother. Set me securely with bliss in full accord with heaven, O wise one, uphold me in grace and splendor. So this is a translation of a Sanskrit hymn in the honor and respect of Mother Earth. And this is a verse that we are supposed to recite when we get up in the morning and before we step down from our bed. It says, Mother Earth, you are the oceans and mountains on you. Salutations to the wife of Vishnudeva. Forgive me for placing my feet on you. Again, showing the respect. So start the day with that respect. And Mahatma Gandhi, of course, he wanted people to get by with whatever they really need rather than be driven by greed. So there is enough, earth has enough resources to meet everybody's needs, but not anybody's greed. And I'm sure all of you would agree with me that part of the reason why we have so much pollution is greed driven, and not so much need driven. So simplicity, austerity, of course, I don't think any of us can match Mahatma Gandhi's simplicity and austerity. He was a practicing lawyer in South Africa, and he made a lot of money, but he gave up all that. And if you look at his typically seen image or picture, he's shown just wearing one cloth around his waist. And he was a very rich man, so he gave up all that. So he practiced what he preached. So Hinduism, a term Hinduism is a misnomer. That is not the correct term, but Just like American Indians are not Indians, they have nothing to do with India, but we call them Indians or American Indians. So for the sake of convenience, we accept that term Hinduism. The word comes from the word Sindhu. Sindhu is a river in the northwestern part of India. And the Persians and Arabs, when they came to that part of the world, they couldn't pronounce the S sound, so they had the Ha sound. So from Sindhu, the people who lived over on the other side of Sindhu were called Hindus. So that's how it came to be known as Hindu. So just like Columbus was looking for India and he reached America, so he thought he was in India. So he started calling people here Indians.
Well, he didn't even reach America.
Right, he was way south. So, but that's how the term started. And so same thing, Hinduism not the correct term. What is the correct term? Correct term is Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan means eternal, and Dharma means individual's duty. We also call it Vedic Dharma or Vedic religion because this is based on the teachings and practice of Vedas. So these are the more accurate terms, correct terms than Hinduism, but we'll use term Hinduism for the sake of practicality. So there is no one founder of Hindu religion. There is no one holy book. There is no fixed starting time. Nobody can put a time when it started. Some people say 5,000 years, 7,000 years, 10,000 years. So there is no set time. And tolerance for other faiths and non-violence. So these are some of the major features of Hindu religion which distinguish it from some of the others. So now we have several avatars, or we have several saints, we have several learned teachers. We draw upon their teachings, but we don't have any one founder, like for Buddhism or Christianity or Islam. And if I have to pick one book, which somebody would say, okay, pick one book which is very important for Hindus. So I would pick up Bhagavad Gita. And I'll tell you a little more about that later. So Hindus believe truth is one. Sages and learned describe it variously. Ekam Sat Vipra Bhavda Vadanti. It comes from one of the Vedas. And Hindu concept of God is Brahman-centric. And how do we define Brahman? Brahman is that supreme reality, which is the source and ultimate refuge of everything, material, immaterial, visible, invisible, manifest and unmanifest. So everything comes out of that, it's there and then it goes back into it. So in a way, Brahman is what modifies itself into whatever we see or don't see, and then it withdraws that modification and it goes back to just being Brahman. And everything from the time when it modifies and unmodifies is the creation. So feel free to stop me if you have any questions, because some of this information is very different for you, so don't hesitate to stop me to clarify. So please don't hesitate to ask questions. And Isha Upanishad is one of the Upanishads which are attached to the Vedas. It says that Supreme Brahman is infinite, and this conditioned Brahman is infinite. Supreme is the one which is always unmanifest. Conditioned is the one that we see. All of us, all this creation is all conditioned Brahman. And this infinite comes out of that infinite, and after you take this infinite out of that, whatever remains is also infinite.
That's true math.
Right. So the other concept in the Hindu religion, which will tie into the concept of Hinduism and ecology, would be reincarnation. So Brahman is one of the points we are going to use later on to talk about ecology and Hinduism. So Hindus also believe that after we die, we are reborn. And that cycle continues until we find God, or until we go back to being in that Brahman stage. And it is dependent on karma. So karma is the principle of as you sow, so you reap. Simple. And for Hindus, it's not something which is only in this lifetime, it goes across lifetimes. So this is why karma and reincarnation are kind of dependent on each other. And other religions which originated in Indian subcontinent like Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, they also believe in that. So in Bhagavad Gita it says, just as the body discards worn out clothes and acquires new clothes, soul discards worn out of bodies and acquires new ones. Chapter 2, verse 22. So that is the cycle that's shown, and this repeats. So karma in Hinduism it describes again cause and effect system that applies to good as well as bad deeds. So in Hindu religion the goal is to be free of all karma, not just free of only bad karma. One has to be free of good karma also, because when I do good deed, the effect of that I have to experience. I cannot just do good deed and not experience the effect of the good deed. It's easy to understand that if I do something bad, I have to face the consequences. But if I've done something good and I'm supposed to get $100, I have to take $100. I can't say I don't want it. So that is why the effect of karma is, if you haven't experienced the effects of all your actions, good or bad, one would have to, in this lifetime, then one would have to come back and then experience the good effects also. Even if I've done nothing bad in this life, only good things, I'll have to come back to get the good outcomes, good effects. Okay.
How do you get rid of the good thing?
How do you get rid of the good karma? If we do it as a service to God.
I'm sorry?
If we perform our good actions as a service to God and offer our actions to God, then once we have made that offering, then I'm not bound by that karma and its effects.
So you do continue to do good things, but you don't expect anything out of it.
You do it as a service to God,
Okay.
that I'm doing it as an offering.
Kind of like pay it forward.
What's that?
Kind of like pay it forward, which means you do something good for somebody else, and your payment is that they do something for somebody else.
Yeah, so like in Gita, Krishna, who is the teacher, and Arjuna, who is the student. So Arjuna asks him, how can I be free of this karma? So he says, if you're doing karma and offer it to me, then you won't be bound by the effects of it. It's only when we do something good and we feel good about it, or I feel that, I did something good for this person. The moment I feel good about having done something for somebody, I bind myself to the outcome of that good action. But if I did it because it was my duty to God, and that's the only reason I did it, then I'm free. Then that effect of that karma is not binding. So does that answer the question? Yeah. So that is how one can be free of that karma. So they say you have to, as a human being, as an embodied being, you have to perform an action. You cannot be without performing an action. But the actions which you do as a service to God are the only ones which will liberate you from the cycle of reincarnation. But if I do it thinking, I did this for him and I feel so good about doing it, I did it, binding. Or say, God, you made me a tool in your hand, and I was given the opportunity to do it, and that's the end of it, no binding. So no cycle of reincarnation. So for the good karma, it is hard to understand how it can be binding. Bad karma, everybody understands.
It's kind of like greed, right? In some ways, if I do something and I feel good about it, then that's greedy in that I want to feel good about it for myself rather than someone else. So it seems like to me it kind of goes back to greed.
Yeah, in a good kind of way.
No, but I mean, but then that greed binds me.
Yes.
See, and then so I'm not freed from that because of that. In some ways, that's selfishness.
It
Even
is.
though it's good.
It is selfishness. And what would happen, there would be a time when I keep doing the same thing, and one time it won't have the same outcome, and then I'll say I did all these things and nobody appreciates it. Or I did all these things and there was no good outcome. So I would be driven more by greed because I want to have more of that same feeling, that good feeling, that oh, it really felt good that I did something for that hungry person or for that person who needed a house, or not that don't do those things, but the moment I start enjoying it, I get caught up in the greed. Next time I'll go back to do it not so much because I want to help him, I will do it because it makes me feel good.
Right.
And one day if I don't feel good because somehow somebody said something, then I will really feel bad. So,
I fully understand that, but I guess maybe it's how you have developed your thoughts and everything, but it seems to me that feeling good about doing something good, if everybody in the world did that, it should be a great place to live.
if
And it'd be a lot of karma.
so if you're saying if people did things to feel good, is that how?
If they did things that made them feel good about helping other people, then it would make the earth a fantastic place to live.
Very true. But there is a level beyond that, which is for Hindus to break out of that cycle of reincarnation, because if I have a choice, I would rather have the world you are describing than the one we have.
Better to worry about this place than the next one.
Yeah. So we have in our system there is a concept of tamas, rajas and sattvic. Tamas is bad, rajas is good, sattvic is pure. But they say that if you really want to be free, you have to be free of all of them. Because it feels good to be bound to the pure, doesn't mean it's not a bondage. It's still a bondage. And to be truly free, you have to be free of even the pure. Even the good you have to be free of. It's easy to understand to be free of the bad.
Will it be same as aham?
Aham is the sense of me-ness. And that is the individual ego. So again, that is in the same sense that I see myself separate from the rest. And as long as there is that separation, then there would be that sense of, okay, I can possess this, I can buy this, I can own this, I can do this for this person. I'm seeing this person as separate from me.
So that avoids you when you do it for the God,
Right.
not for yourself.
Yes.
So you, in other words, you avoid having that sense of achievement which makes you have a big head and small head.
And the bondage.
Right?
So it's very easy to understand when we are doing bad things, but it's challenging to understand when we apply it to the good things.
Exactly.
Because we are always taught to do the good things. But how can good things bind me? But until I can be free of good things, I want to continue to do the good things, because doing good things is better than doing bad things. So I would rather be in that world that you are describing until I can free of that. I can be free of that world, and then I'm going to be completely free. So I would rather choose the good kind of world than the one we are in. So the Sanskrit term for environment is paryavaran, and Sanskrit term for pollution is pradushan. Basically it means pradushan is pollution, paryavaran is environment. So the guiding principles for this would be karma we talked about, reincarnation, interconnectedness of all things, need for harmony between humans and nature, non-violence or ahimsa, that's the Sanskrit word. Everything comes out of nature and goes back to nature. Divinity is the basis of everything, like we talked about Brahman. And vegetarianism.
I have a question
Yeah.
related to vegetarianism. Are very many Hindus moving beyond vegetarianism to veganism because of the harmful impacts of dairy farming on animals
So,
and on the human body as well?
so one thing is the basic concept of being a vegetarian, and then they are realizing that being vegetarian is always not healthy, because some of the things that we eat which are vegetarian may not have been grown in a very healthy environment.
Right.
So it's not that the vegetarianism is bad. If the vegetables are grown in a polluted water or polluted soil, then we are eating those chemicals. So those chemicals are the ones which some people may want to avoid when they are going into organic. But being vegan, where they're avoiding dairy, they may be taking it to a step further, where they say, I don't want to have anything of animal origin.
Mm-hmm.
So dairy is considered okay. Actually, dairy is considered very acceptable in Hindu religion, because it doesn't cost anybody's life for us to obtain milk. But if I'm eating beef or chicken, then it does end up costing that living being the life. But if I'm just drawing milk, I'm actually taking good care of the cow. In India, it was very common to have a cow for people. A lot of people would have a cow or two and have in their own house, and they would treat it with respect as a family member,
Right.
feed right, keep it clean, provide clean environment, and then draw milk from that, because they thought if the cow is satisfied and happy, the milk she'll give you not only will be abundant, it'll also have very good vibrations. So, but some people will take it a step further, where they say, no, I don't want anything of animal origin. But being vegetarian would mean not consuming meat,
Right.
and then they would take it to a step further. So these guiding principles, the sources will be these, our scriptures. And Hindu scriptures, there are two groups, Shruti, which are Vedas, which are 4 of them, and Upanishads, which are the commentaries on Vedas. And then there are several hundred Puranas, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and then Bhagavad Gita, which is a dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjuna on the battlefield. So Vedas there are 4, and they make up about 100,000 verses. And there is Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharvaveda, Samaveda. Veda means a book of knowledge. It comes from the word Ved. Ved means knowledge, to know. And these are the oldest of the Hindu scriptures. Different people will tell you different timeline when they originated. 5,000 years, 7,000, 10,000 years. And they're also considered as something which was not created by human beings. They were received by the seers who during their meditations received that knowledge and then they shared it with people. So it's not that they were created by human beings, they were actually received by the seers from God and then they were passed on. So Bhagavad Gita is the one book which I would say for somebody who wants to learn about Hinduism would be the one to go to, because it has 700 verses in 18 chapters, but it contains the summary of a lot of teachings in all 4 Vedas, 100,000 verses or 108 Upanishads. So it's considered like a Bible of the Hindus. And it talks about all these things. What is soul, what is God, karma, nature, how to attain salvation, what is individual's duties, what is creation, immanence of God. So all these things. This book has been translated in almost every language in the world. There have been hundreds, if not thousands, of commentaries written on it. So that would be one book to read. This is how some of the verses look like. It's a Sanskrit. That's how Sanskrit is written. That's the language, ancient language of the Hindu religion. And human life is also divided into 4 25-year segments. So there is a student life, there is a family life, and then there is a Vanprastha life where we kind of retire. And then sannyas is when you go away from everybody and then contemplate on divine, God, your place in this creation and all. This is 25 years each. So by 51, we are supposed to be retired. So forest living was was considered very essential for spiritual growth. So again, why I'm mentioning this, because forest was important for them. It made up 1/4 of the life. So that's why it's important that Hindus take good care of their environment. So Hindus also have a concept of 5 elements: earth, water, air, fire, space, bhumi, apo, vayu, and then anil, and then space. So these are not the elements that we read in science class. So this is how they looked at. So if you notice, they are going from very solid to liquid to air to just heat and then space. So from very gross to very subtle. And same 5 elements are in me and outside. Everything is made up of these same 5. So my body has solidity, my body has water, my body has air, my body has heat, and my body has space. So same 5 elements are in me as they are outside. So if these 5 elements in the nature are polluted, what's going to happen to me, my 5 elements? So again, the concept of importance of environment for the Hindus. So we'll take these points one at a time. So divinity is the basis of everything, Brahman. So this verse is from Ishopanishad. This is from Yajurveda. And it says everything is pervaded by the divine. Enjoy everything with an attitude of renunciation. Do not covet. After all, who really owns anything? So everything is pervaded by the divine. So we initially talked about Brahman. So everything is Brahman. So that means everything is divine. And we should enjoy everything, whatever is there is for us, but with an attitude of renunciation. And when we have the attitude of renunciation and not to covet, then we would take only what Gandhi said. There is enough for everybody's need, but there is not enough for everybody's greed. And greed is what has put us in this situation where we are. So this is the verse from Ishopanishad. So if we see the divine in everything, and as part of that, then we are going to utilize only what we need, and it takes us away from that greed-driven hoarding and causing the pollution in the air, water, earth. So we kind of touched on this. We don't want to pollute the rivers, mountains, trees, air, because they all have the divine. If we read chapter 12 and 11 and 12 in Gita, it talks about how Krishna tells Arjuna that you can see me in all these things, and you see all those things in me. So when I see the divine in the river, I'm not going to pollute it. I'm not going to dump toxins in it. If I truly believe in a river being divine, part of the divine. If I truly believe in the earth being divine, then I'm not going to pollute it with the chemicals. Yeah.
I've seen enough movies to get the impression that in India the rivers are very divine places, but they're also terribly polluted. Is anything being done to correct that?
So in the end of my talk, I was going to show a couple of slides. So there is a Ganges, Ganga. Ganges is the English name, Ganga is the Indian name. Is the river which is most important. And so other one more scripture that I wanted to mention is Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. And in the first section, it talks about 10 important tenets. But these are not 10 commandments in any way, but these are 10 important points for the yogi or for the spiritual seeker. And one of them is ahimsa, non-violence, and the other one is non-hoarding. So it tells the followers to practice non-violence and not be greedy, like I think we were talking about that, how greed is driving a lot of these destruction we are seeing of the environment. One of the other, another point it also mentions is cleanliness, contentment. So if we practice cleanliness or shaucha, then it would apply to our physical body, to our thoughts, to our speech, and also to the environment that we are living in. One of the Puranas, it says a person who is engaged in killing creatures, polluting wells and ponds and tanks and destroying gardens certainly goes to hell. So
When was that?
this is, I don't know the exact time, but these Puranas were created about anywhere from 500 BC to 500 AD, 500 CE.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
Hindus believe in hell like, say, Christians do? Or is it a more mystical concept?
So Hindus, they believe in the consequences of the actions. For that, we will have to come back and face those.
Okay.
So it's
But that's different than going to hell, isn't it?
right. It's this is how they translated it. That they'll go to hell, meaning he'll go to the term they use in Nurk. And the concept of hell in Hinduism is not that a place where somebody is sent and then he's going to stay there until a certain time and then, or he's going to be there forever. It will be where he would have a life of misery and a life of pain, suffering, whatever. I mean, hell, in my mind, the concept of hell is where there is no fun. So it's like a place where it would rather not be. Yeah.
Or you get reincarnated into the life where you will suffer more for what you did bad in the last life.
Right.
So that's the concept.
So what kind of compassion do you have then for people who have a bad life? Do you feel like they deserved it, or do you feel a sense of compassion for them? Because that's kind of how I think the Christian faith is that we're kind of taught that it could have happened to me, it could happen to anyone, someone was born there, I'm gonna have compassion for them that they have that life.
So just because somebody is, let's say take the example of somebody who did something bad and he went to prison. So we still go and help the people who are in the prison.
Right.
So we still want to have compassion, we want to tell them, okay, now you behave so that you can get out 5 years sooner,
Right.
early
That's
release.
that's a good example, yeah.
So just because somebody is suffering, we are not going to say it's okay for you to suffer. We would still help them. We'll still make it easier for them. We would still want to comfort. We would still want to console. I would never say, oh, you deserved it.
Yeah.
But I would still help them through the difficult times they are going through. Actually, I would be thankful to them that, okay, I had the opportunity to do something good for somebody. As long as I don't feel good about doing something, then I'm going to be bound by that good karma.
Because you are doing it, we're all one person and we're all the source. So it's an offering to Brahman,
Right.
to the one supreme being, whatever name we give it.
So if you do it with that sense,
Yes,
then I'm just playing my role
yes.
in that bigger drama that's going on. And that person ends up being in that role where he or she is having to suffer a pain or some kind of loss. But that should not make me, it should not stop me from helping him. I'm not going to judge that person in that sense. So we still want to have compassion and caring. Yeah.
Question, here, of course, in this country, we have a real problem in having people support taking care of the environment. This has to do, from a theological sense, seems to be in the evangelical side of Christianity, which permeates through a large percentage of the United States, and then the wealth and power of the fossil fuel industry. But my question has to do with, in Hinduism in India, what is the general understanding about the environment? Is it well understood to be a serious problem? I mean, I know that India went along with the signing of all the accords. And, in the United States, we kind of finagle. Obama does what he can, but he can't do too much. Does Hinduism really support, and do people, do a lot of people really understand the problems that we have of the environment and what's going to happen in the future?
So one thing is, what does the scriptures say? What do the scriptures say? That's one side of it. The other side of it is, how much of that can we practice? Because there is a lot of gap between the teachings, scriptural teachings, and what we put into practice. And what we put into practice often is determined by the circumstances we are living in. So if a person doesn't have a place to live,
Sounds like the United States.
so if a person doesn't have a place to live, if they don't have any food, if they don't have any clothes, they are not going to worry about the environment.
A supplemental question to that is, and we don't have any way in Christianity, it seems like, of putting new thought, new, better, modern thought that greater understanding about things into the theological portion of our religion. And everything is from, thousands of years ago, when of course there wasn't any environmental problem. And is there anything going on in Hinduism whereby modern thought becomes a central thought to Hinduism? which makes it sellable for and a good beacon for how you live in this time, not 2,000 years ago.
So not having one founder, not having one book allows Hindus to be very diverse in their thinking and in their approach to things. So they are not tied up to any one time frame. They are not tied up to any one particular teacher. So in one household you could have one person following Rama and one person following Krishna and another person following no one. And they are all fine. So, so the availability of multiple philosophies and the freedom to be able to choose any one of them and change from one to another as we are evolving,
Sounds good.
it allows them to be able to adapt.
Yeah.
And when the technological revolution took place, India was kind of in the dark ages, but then as soon as there was this technological revolution, they were guiding practically the whole world in taking advantage of the new technology. And Hindus were ruled by non-Hindus for almost 1,000 years until they were freed in 1947. So for them, for about 1,000 years, the main goal was survival. Preserve their thoughts, preserve their culture, preserve their traditions. And now that they have been freed, they are able to still be a member of the global family and help everyone
Also staying peaceful.
and staying peaceful.
Is the caste system an outgrowth of Hinduism?
Caste system in India is in all religions. All the religions in India have caste system. Even the religions which don't believe in caste system, they have caste system in them. In India,
Here too.
but not outside. So in India, if in southern India there are cemeteries, Christian cemeteries, where only upper caste Christians can be buried, and the lower caste Christians cannot go there. There are in Muslims they have upper caste Muslims and lower caste Muslims, and in Sikhs they have upper caste Sikhs and lower caste Sikhs. So it is more of a social thing. But at a time when there were only Hindus, then it was applied only to Hindus. But now there are other religions. So it's there. It's a social thing.
Is that breaking down at all?
It is. Yeah, it is. Because those who have been suppressed are being allowed to come up, no matter what was the reason for the suppression. And that's happening worldwide. And it has nothing to do with the race. It has nothing to do with gender. Women were suppressed all over the world until about 100 years ago. And they are still being suppressed in many parts of the world, but look at how much they have come up in the US, in India. Could we have imagined the society we are living in today, that we could be living in this society 300-400 years ago for women? So in India it has changed, it is changing here. So all those who were suppressed are actually being allowed to come up, whether the suppression was race-based or gender-based or caste-based or religion-based. There is that wave of improvement in the lives of all those who were suppressed for any reason. So say in the caste wise also there is an improvement. That's how I look at it. If I look at the global changes, the races have come, those who were suppressed have come up, gender which was suppressed has come up, and the caste systems. So in India we have had a president from a lower caste. We have had women prime ministers. There are a lot of women who are heads of the state governments. Many of them are very powerful. There are women who are in the Supreme Court. So they have really come up. So this was it. This is another verse which says, "Earth is the mother. I am the child of earth. Do not cut trees because they remove pollution." This is from Rig Veda. It goes back several thousand years.
Amazing.
But do people follow it? That is where the problem is. The teachings are there, but how many of us actually follow it? I think the lack of teaching is not the problem. Lack of following is the problem. Do not disturb the sky and do not pollute the atmosphere. Yajurveda. Reminds me of the ozone layer. So, where can we look for answers? Can we look for answers and solutions with our politicians? No way. Politicians are not going to solve this problem. Can we look for answers to the industry? Can we look to the industry for answers? No, they are the ones who created it. So who does, in my opinion, who has a responsibility or who can fix it? It has to be, there has to be a spiritual response to it. It has to come from the religious and spiritual leaders, like we are seeing right here, where Reverend Cooper is leading this and taking the initiative to set up this group. So the spiritual and religious leaders will have to come up and try to address this issue. Politicians and industrials are not going to do it. So like you were asking about the rivers in India, and I mentioned there is a Clean Ganga project, a Ganga action plan, where they're trying to help clean up the Ganges. Then there was another movement a few years ago where this was the one where they were trying to, tree hugging movement, where they were trying to stop poachers or developers who were going to cut the trees. So people got together and they said they would go around the trees and hug them. Okay, now how can you cut a tree when I'm hugging a tree? Because you have to cut it at the bottom. So if somebody is standing there hugging the tree, you can cut it. So that was the Chipko movement. Then Art of Living program, there have been multiple things they have been doing, trying to clean up the environment or educate people as to how to be more responsible, and not only that, also go out and clean up what's already there. So I have a few handouts. I don't have enough copies, but I'll pass it around. You can look through that. And as I was saying, the spiritual and religious leaders have to take the initiative. And he is the founder of Ganga Action Plan, and he's the founder of Art of Living, where these are a couple of people I just wanted to show you the example. So there are many more, not just these two. There are many, many more religious and spiritual teachers who are taking the initiative, like here, to clean up the environment and make people more aware and try to make them go out and help with the environment.